The wind screamed across the icy plains of Antarctica. White snow whipped through the air like blades. The research station stood like a lonely skeleton in the storm. Inside, Dr. Isaac Rayner stared at his screen, his fingers frozen over the keyboard. He wasn't a soldier, not even a true scientist, just a quiet engineer with too much time and too many questions. A strange signal had arrived 3 days ago. Not from above, but from below. It pulsed every 13 seconds. Soft and rhythmic at first, the others ignored it. Just a glitch, they said. Old ice playing tricks. But Isaac didn't believe that. Now late at night, he sat alone, waiting for the storm to settle. Everyone else had gone to sleep, the base dark and silent. He grabbed his cold weather gear and stepped into the freezing tunnel that led outside. The snow howled as he moved toward the signal source Sector 9. Buried under 200 feet of ancient ice, something was waiting. Isaac reached the edge of a narrow shaft dug earlier by the drone team. He climbed down, breath fogging inside his helmet. His scanner beeped louder with every step. Then he saw it something metallic, curved, and clearly not made by humans. The object was a pod, shaped like a teardrop. Half frozen and humming softly, it pulsed with a dim blue light. Isaac touched the surface. It was warm. His hands trembled as he found a small panel with alien symbols. He didn't understand them, but somehow, his fingers moved like they knew what to do. Click, slide, twist. The pod made a soft sound like breathing, and the hatch began to open. Inside, he saw her, a figure, lying still, covered in a glowing fabric that looked like smoke turned solid. Her skin was a pale shade of silver blue, her face peaceful but strained. Long white hair floated slightly as if underwater. Isaac froze, unable to breathe. This wasn't just a body, she was alive suddenly. Her chest moved. Her eyes flickered open, glowing faintly. She looked directly at him and whispered in a broken voice, "I can't breathe." Isaac panicked, tearing off his oxygen supply and pushing the mask gently over her face. She gasped in, her body shaking as she coughed and sucked in Earth's air. The pod's lights turned red, alarms flashing. He didn't know what he had just done, but something had changed. The scanner beeped wildly, behind him. Ice cracked like thunder. Isaac grabbed her, lifting her carefully from the pod. She was light, too light for her size. He climbed up the shaft with shaking legs, holding her close. Above, the storm had calmed, but something worse had begun. The sky wasn't the same. He looked up and saw the stars flicker. Just for a moment, they blinked out, not like clouds, not like night, like someone had turned off the universe for 1 second. Then the stars came back, cold and quiet. Isaac ran back to the station, the woman still unconscious in his arms. He hid her in the storage chamber near the power core. It was warm there, hidden from the cameras. He wrapped her in a thermal blanket, watching her chest rise and fall slowly. She was breathing now, but not well. He needed answers. Who was she? Where did she come from? Why was she buried under the ice? And what the hell did that signal mean? The next morning, the others found the shaft open. They called it a collapse, blamed it on unstable ice. Isaac said nothing. He couldn't, not yet, because something had awakened, not just her, but something else, something that had been waiting for her to wake up. That night, as Isaac sat by her side, she opened her eyes again. This time, they glowed brighter. She stared at the ceiling, her voice stronger now. "They're coming," she said softly. Isaac leaned in. "Who's coming?" Her eyes met his, and she whispered, "The ones who made me run." Outside, the scanner blinked red. A second signal had appeared, not from under the ice, but from the sky. Something was on its way to Earth, and it wasn't friendly. Asterisk, the lights flickered for the 3rd time that night. Dr. Isaac Rayner sat in silence, staring at the glowing red pulse on his tablet. Signal 2 had arrived. It came from above, not below. It wasn't natural, not solar, not satellite. And it was getting closer. The alien woman Nara slept in the storage room, wrapped in heat blankets. But her skin had turned pale, her breath shallow. The translator chip on her collar blinked weakly, like it was dying. Isaac knew she needed help. But who could he trust? No one. Not here. Not now. He made a decision. If she didn't talk, they were all dead anyway. He stepped into the room and knelt beside her. "Nara," he whispered. "You have to tell me who you are." Her eyes opened slowly, filled with pain, but also something sharp memory. "You pulled me out," she said softly. "That means it has started." Isaac stared at her. "What has started?" She looked up at the ceiling as if she could see through it. The hunt, outside the base, the cold was unnatural. It wasn't just temperature, it was pressure. The kind that made metal groan and glass stretch. The wind had stopped completely, like the world was holding its breath. Nara sat up slowly, trembling. Her voice came out more clear now. "I was a soldier once," she said. "But not for war, for escape." Isaac frowned. "Escape from what?" Her eyes turned dark. "Not black, but empty. From them," she said. From the Varnak, she reached toward her arm and pressed a spot under her skin. A small circle lit up and projected a hologram. Isaac leaned in, and what he saw froze his blood. A ship the size of a city, covered in long metal limbs and red lights. It wasn't flying, it was crawling through space like a spider. "This is their harvester," she said. "They don't fight. They absorb." "Absorb what?" Isaac asked. She looked him straight in the eyes. "Everything," suddenly. The base alarm buzzed. "Motion detected. Camera 4 South Tunnel." Everyone else was asleep. And no mission was scheduled. Isaac checked the screen, expecting snow. A polar bear maybe. But what he saw made his heart skip. A human silhouette, naked, no gear, walking through -40 degrees like it was nothing. Eyes glowing red. Isaac's breath caught. "Nara," he said. "What is that?" She didn't need to look. "They've found me," she said. "And they've sent a shell." Isaac bolted the door and backed away. Outside, the silhouette walked calmly toward the station. Not fast, not slow, just steady, like it had all the time in the world. Nara stood up, her body still weak, but her voice steady. "You brought me back," she said. "But you also turned on the beacon." "What beacon?" Isaac asked. "The one buried inside my spine," she replied. "They tracked me by it." He stared at her. "Then take it out." "I can't," she said. "But you can." She held out a small silver tool, alien and sharp. Isaac blinked. "You want me to cut you open?" "If you don't," she said. "They'll find us in less than 2 minutes." The hallway lights blinked. Heavy footsteps echoed in the metal corridor. 1, 2, 3. The creature was inside. Isaac took the tool, hands shaking. He had no idea what he was doing, but he had no time to think. He pressed the blade into her lower back. She clenched her jaw but didn't scream. Black fluid oozed out, glowing slightly. He reached in carefully and pulled out a small glass-like shard. The second it came free, it stopped glowing. Nara passed out. Outside the door, the footsteps stopped. Then silence. Nothing. Isaac held his breath. The lights went out completely, darkness, silence, and then a knock, soft, slow, just one, like a polite visitor. But Isaac knew nothing human was on the other side of that door. The knock didn't come again. Silence returned. But it was the wrong kind of silence, not peace, not calm. It was the kind of silence that listens, the kind that waits. Isaac didn't move. He stood frozen, holding the shard he had pulled from Nara's spine. It was still warm, still alive somehow. In the dark, it pulsed once. Then again, like a heartbeat that wasn't his. The door creaked, just a whisper of movement. Isaac turned, grabbing the emergency axe from the wall. No footsteps, no sound, but the air felt heavier now, like gravity was leaning in. Then he saw the shadow, not a person, not fully. Something tall, too tall, its head almost brushing the ceiling. It stood still at the end of the hallway, watching, not breathing, not blinking. Isaac reached behind and pressed the panic seal on the door. Metal walls slammed down between them, cutting off the view. For a second, he let out a breath. Then the power cut completely, total blackout. Even the backup lights didn't kick in. That never happened, not even during full system failure. He turned back toward Nara. She was lying still, her eyes half open, lips moving without sound. He leaned closer, and her whisper finally reached him. "They're testing you." "What?" Isaac asked, confused. Nara blinked slowly. "They don't want me," she said. "They want to see what you do." Suddenly, the translator chip on her collar sparked and died. Her voice became alien again, soft, musical, but full of fear. Isaac had no idea what she said, but he understood the meaning. "We're not alone." He ran to the main comms terminal, using the emergency battery backup. Signal logs scrolled across the screen, strange patterns, bursts of light, code he couldn't read. He filtered the last 24 hours, and then he saw it. The signal that had come from the sky wasn't alien. It had bounced off an Earth satellite, an old one, classified, military-owned, still active, still transmitting. The Varnak hadn't just found Earth, they had been invited. Isaac's hands shook as he downloaded the data. It wasn't just coordinates or tracking, it was biometric targeting, and his name was on the list. Someone, somewhere, had marked him. Not Nara, not the alien pod, him. Nara sat up slowly behind him, touching her chest. Her voice returned, barely. "You feel it now, don't you?" she said. Isaac looked at his hands. They were glowing, faintly blue veins under the skin. "What's happening to me?" he asked. Nara stared at him. "You're not just human," she said. "Not fully." The floor shook, just once. Then a crack ran through the hallway like lightning frozen in steel. The ceiling groaned. Something heavy was walking above them, something bigger than a man. But not fast, still slow, still steady, like it didn't need to hurry. Isaac opened the maintenance hatch under the console. He motioned for Nara to follow. She hesitated, staring at the shard he still held. "That's not tech," she said. "It's memory." "Whose memory?" Isaac asked. She gave a small, bitter smile. "Yours." They crawled into the narrow tunnel, moving through the belly of the base. Pipes hissed above, the hum of machines broken and nervous. As they moved, Isaac started to feel it, a soft whisper in the back of his mind. Not words, not sound, but direction, the kind of pull that draws you towards something important or dangerous. They reached the sub-generator chamber. Inside was a wall no one ever touched, marked unauthorized core grid. Isaac touched it, and it opened. No code, no key, it just knew him. Inside was a device he had never seen, alien, but somehow familiar. It glowed in the same rhythm as the shard. He reached out to place it in, but Nara grabbed his hand. "If you do this," she said, "you become part of it." "Part of what?" he asked. She looked scared for the first time. "Their plan," she whispered. "Or your past." Before he could answer, the ceiling above cracked open, the metal ripped like paper, and something dropped through. Tall, silent, glowing eyes locked on them. Isaac didn't think. He slammed the shard into the device. Light exploded. Everything turned white, then silence, real silence, and Nara, whispering one word through the blinding light. "Awakened." Isaac opened his eyes to darkness, not black, not empty, just dark like the inside of a deep cave. Cold air touched his face, but the floor beneath him was warm. He sat up slowly, every muscle stiff, every breath strange. He wasn't in the base anymore. A soft light glowed in the distance. He walked toward it, barefoot on metal. Symbols moved along the walls like liquid, shapes that pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. They weren't written, they were alive, and they were speaking to him. Then a voice echoed from above. Not loud, not soft, just clear. "You are the key. Child of two bloods." Isaac froze. "Who are you?" The voice didn't answer. Instead, a hologram appeared, not of Nara, not of Earth, but of him. As a child, in a place he didn't remember. Smiling, floating, inside a chamber of light. The image changed. Earth from above, surrounded by blue shields. Then red pulses striking from orbit, the shields falling. Then darkness again. Isaac blinked. He woke up on the cold floor of the base, back in reality. But the glow hadn't faded. It was in his skin now. Blue veins across his arms. His eyes hurt, but he could see in the dark. Nara stood nearby, bleeding from the nose. "You touched the root," she said. You saw what was hidden, Isaac nodded slowly. They did something to me. Not them, she said. Us. Before he could ask, the emergency lights kicked on. The base alarm screamed. Intruders detected. Outside, a transport aircraft landed hard on the ice. A human military team rushed in, weapons drawn. UN task force. Black suits, no names, no questions. Isaac and Nera were surrounded within minutes. A man in a dark coat stepped forward, clean-shaven, cold eyes. He looked straight at Isaac and smiled. Dr. Rayner, he said. We've been monitoring your work. You mean spying, Isaac replied. The man didn't blink. He turned to Nera. Subject 3 is alive, he said into a wrist device. Repeat, the asset is alive. Nera stepped back. Breathing hard. Don't let them take me, she said. They're not here to help. The man raised a hand. Tranquilize the alien. 2 soldiers moved in, but Nera didn't run. Instead, she screamed, not from her mouth, but from the implant in her chest. A pulse of sound exploded through the hallway. Lights shattered, radios died. Soldiers fell to their knees, vomiting. Isaac grabbed her arm and pulled her through the side corridor. They ran down the frozen tunnels toward the sealed dome, the abandoned lab. Behind them, gunfire echoed. Footsteps thundered, but no orders were shouted, because half the soldiers were bleeding from their ears. Inside the dome, Isaac found the old cryo chamber, once used for testing cold immune tech, now half buried in frost. He sealed the door and turned. Nera collapsed, shaking. Her body was overheating, not from fever, but from energy. I'm burning out, she whispered. I wasn't built to survive here this long. Isaac opened a panel in the wall, revealing old alien tech wired into human tools. He stared at it, then at her. Can this stabilize you? She looked at it with fear. It can do more than that, she said. It can change me. The ground shook. Not from footsteps, but something rising from beneath. A deep rumble echoed through the ice. Isaac checked the sensors. Massive heat spike. Underground movement. 300 meters from base. A Varnick drill core was coming. He grabbed the alien tool and connected it to her chest port. Energy surged. She gasped, then went still. Then glowing lines spread across her skin. Like circuitry waking up, her eyes turned silver. Outside, the UN soldiers had regrouped, but something was wrong. Their radios picked up a third signal, not from Earth. Not from the ship above, from beneath. One soldier screamed, firing at the snow. But the snow bled. Then it opened like a mouth, swallowing him whole. The Varnick were here. Not in the sky, in the ground, and they had been waiting. Back inside, Nera stood again, taller now, glowing with silent energy. I can fight them, she said, but I need your choice. What choice? Isaac asked. She looked at him with sad, powerful eyes. Join me, she said, or stay human. The drill core breached the lower level. Alarms screamed. The ice cracked. The war had begun. The first body Isaac saw was his own, frozen, lifeless, staring back at him through the cracked glass of the cryo chamber. Same face, same scar on the chin, same burn mark on the left wrist. But it wasn't breathing. It wasn't him, at least. Not anymore. Nera stood behind him, watching silently. Her voice came out like a whisper from deep water. You're not the first. Isaac stepped back, heart pounding. What is this? She looked at the frozen version of him, eyes heavy. A backup, she said. From another version of Earth. Isaac stared at her, shaking his head. That's not possible. It wasn't, she replied. Until now, before he could speak, the base lights turned blue, emergency lockdown mode. But no sirens, no alarms, only a soft, eerie sound. Like a child humming through the ventilation system, the walls flickered with static. Every screen showed the same message. We remember you. In every language, even ones Isaac had never seen before. Then a second signal came, this one not digital, biological. It hit Isaac like a sharp pressure in his skull. A memory that wasn't his. He saw stars, burning cities, and a name he didn't know he had, Unit 17H. He dropped to his knees, sweating. Nera caught him, her eyes glowing brighter. "They're unlocking you," she said. "And they're doing it fast." From beneath the base, the Varnak machine finally broke through. But it didn't rise up. It opened, like a steel flower blooming underground. And from inside it came the harvesters. They didn't look like machines. They looked like people, dead ones. Human bodies reanimated, eyes hollow, skin dry and gray. They moved in perfect silence, weapons fused into their arms. The UN soldiers outside opened fire. But bullets didn't slow them, one by one. The soldiers were overwhelmed. Not killed, connected. Their eyes turned red. Their movements stiffened. The Varnak didn't just destroy life, it rewrote it, inside. Nera grabbed Isaac's arm and pulled him toward the sub-vault. "We need to show you where it began," she said. He followed, dizzy, shaking. They reached a locked chamber sealed since the station was built. Nera placed her hand on the door, and it opened. Inside was an alien beacon, smooth, tall, humming quietly. It projected a map, not of Earth, but of the entire solar system. Marked across it were tiny red dots. Buried in the Earth, the Moon, Mars, and even Saturn's moons. "They've been planting these for centuries," she said. "Everywhere your species touched." Isaac stepped closer. "They've been watching us." "No," Nera said. "They've been growing you." Isaac turned, confused. "You said they destroy life." "They do," she replied. "But only after they study it, enhance it, and leave behind something better." Obedient, he stared at her. "You're saying humans aren't entirely human anymore." She nodded. "Some of you never were." Outside, the base's outer shell collapsed. Ice and fire mixing in chaos, the harvesters were breaking in. But something else arrived too. A second ship. Descending through the clouds, not alien, human, black matte hull. No insignia, Earth-built, but long forgotten. The door opened, and from it stepped a man who looked exactly like Isaac, but older, colder, with metallic veins running across his neck. Isaac and Nera watched from the vault feed. "That's not you," she said. Isaac narrowed his eyes. "No," he whispered. "It's the one I was supposed to become." The older Isaac spoke with the harvesters. No fear, no fight, just orders. He pointed toward the vault. He knew where they were. Nera turned to Isaac. "This is the moment," she said. "The code inside you, it's either a weapon or a lock. You choose which one." The room around them began to glow as Isaac stepped into the center of the beacon. His chest burned. His mind opened. He saw the past, not just his, but humanity's. Earth had never been free. It had always been a project. Then he screamed, not in pain, in release. The beacon responded, and the entire station shook above. The sky lit up with a pulse of blue energy. The harvesters stopped. Every screen in the world flashed the same word. Awaiting command. Isaac opened his eyes, glowing from within, and said nothing. Asterisk snow was falling, soft, slow, silent, above ground. Antarctica looked peaceful, untouched by war. No fire, no blood, no wreckage, but below, Earth was boiling. The station was half destroyed, walls torn open, frozen tunnels dripping with black oil and blood. Bodies lay still, but none of them stayed that way for long. The harvesters reactivated them one by one, turning death into obedience, and in the middle of it all stood Isaac. Eyes glowing silver, skin marked with alien code. He wasn't cold anymore. He wasn't human anymore. Nera watched him closely. "You're stabilizing," she said. "Faster than we thought." Isaac didn't answer. He was staring at his hands, watching circuits pulse beneath his skin. It felt normal now, too normal. The beacon behind them had gone quiet, but it had done its job. Isaac was no longer just Isaac. He was something else, something the Varnak feared, and maybe something humanity should too. Nera stepped forward, placing a hand on his arm. "You were designed for this," she said. Isaac looked at her, voice cold. "Did you know this would happen?" She hesitated. "I knew you were special," she said. "But I didn't know how far they got with the implant program." Isaac pulled away. "So I was just a test." "No," she said softly. "You were the result." Suddenly, a loud clang echoed through the lower level. Footsteps. Dozens of them. UN soldiers, reprogrammed, marching in perfect sync. Behind them walked the other Isaac. The older one, his eyes burned with cold light. He raised a hand. "All units," he said. "Initiate capture protocol." The harvesters surged forward. Isaac grabbed Nara's hand and ran. They moved through collapsing corridors, sparks raining from the ceiling. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Core vault," he said. "The only place left they can't access." They reached a sealed chamber, a relic of old human engineering. Inside, a machine older than the base itself. A planetary shield generator, long forgotten. Once designed to protect Earth from solar flares, but repurposed long ago for something far worse. Nara looked at it with wide eyes. "This is it," she said. "The last override system." Isaac stepped closer. It recognized his DNA instantly. Panels opened, lights glowed. Options appeared on the screen. 1. Wipe Varnek protocol. 2. Reconnect beacon grid 3. Rewrite human genome access key. Nara turned to him. "You can shut it all down," she said. "The Varnek, the beacons, everything." Isaac hovered his hand over the first option. But something stopped him, a voice from the system itself. Not alien, his own voice from years ago. "Project Starblood Log 44, the recording said. "If I don't remember this later, remind me, we did this willingly. We chose to evolve." Isaac's hand trembled. The memories hit him, fragments of a life he never lived. Him in a lab, injecting his own blood with alien code. Him laughing with Nara, not now, but before the crash. Before the war, before the lies. He looked at Nara. "You were part of this," he said. She nodded slowly. "I loved you once," she whispered. "Before they erased us." Isaac stared at the screen. 3 choices, 1 Earth, no way back. The door behind them exploded. The other Isaac stepped inside. Wounded but standing. "Don't fight it," he said. "We're meant to finish what we started." Isaac didn't answer. He just pressed his palm to the screen. Option 3, rewrite. The core lit up. Energy burst through the floor. The walls, the sky, from space. Earth pulsed like a living star. The beacons across the solar system went silent. The Varnek code shattered, all over the planet. People felt it. Something change in their blood, something break, or something awaken. The other Isaac screamed as his body began to crack. He wasn't built for this version. He was the past Isaac. Was the next step. Nara collapsed, her circuits overloading. Isaac caught her. "Stay with me," he said. She looked up at him, smiling faintly. "You've done it," she whispered. "You made them run." And then she went still. Light faded from her eyes. Isaac held her as the world above slowly healed. But something inside him didn't. He had saved Earth, but at the cost of the last person who truly knew him. The child was drawing stars, not with crayons, not with markers, but with light. Tiny trails of glowing dust followed her fingers as she moved across the window glass. She wasn't scared. She had never seen war. She only knew peace outside. The sky shimmered like liquid metal. Clouds no longer moved with wind. They moved with rhythm, as if they were listening to something the world had forgotten. Down below, cities had power again, not from wires, not from fuel. From the Earth itself. The planet had changed. The people had changed, and they didn't know why. But they all remembered one moment, the flash, the blue light, the silence that followed, and a name that echoed afterward, Isaac. No one saw him again. Not on Earth, not on the satellites, not even the deep scanners that once watched every inch of the planet. He was gone, but not dead. Because sometimes, when the wind was quiet, when the stars flickered just right, you could see a shape above the clouds, standing still watching, far from the surface. Under the ice once cracked by war, a single heartbeat echoed through the walls. Not human, not machine, something new. It pulsed through buried cables, old tech, and forgotten satellites. Rebuilding, rewriting, inside that hidden chamber. Nara's body rested, cold, still, until her eyes opened again. No gasp, no panic. Just breath, slow and steady. She was alive. but not as she was. She was part of the grid now, the system. Isaac awakened. The last piece of his choice, and she remembered everything. The world above had changed quietly. Children born after the pulse had strange dreams. They spoke languages they never learned, solved problems without formulas, felt the stars calling their names. Governments fell without war. Borders faded. Something in humanity had shifted, and though no one said it out loud, everyone knew, we are not what we were. Then one day, the sky broke again. It didn't split with light. It bent, as if the fabric of space rippled like water. From that ripple came a voice, not in sound, but in understanding. Every human heard it, not with ears, with memory. And it said only one thing: they are coming back. The stars began to move. Not fall, not shoot, just shift. New ones appeared, old ones vanished. Something had changed beyond Earth. Something had noticed the signal. And they were returning, in the old Antarctic ruins. Isaac stood alone, not frozen, not buried, but tall, glowing, calm. He wasn't just Isaac now. He was something made from humanity and history, from alien code and human choice. He looked up at the sky, and he didn't flinch. Nera stood beside him, whole again. He reached out his hand. She took it. They didn't speak, because they didn't need words anymore. The stars above pulsed once, twice, then opened. From that light came ships, vast, elegant, endless. Not Varnek, something older. Something that once ran, now returning, but this time. They would not find Earth sleeping. They would not find it waiting. They would find it awakened, ready, and standing at the front of it all was the man who pulled back a cover, heard a whisper, and chose to remember who he really was. Isaac, the last human, and the first of something else.